Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you find any of my videos of help, please subscribe and hope to talk to you and see you again shortly. Today we're going to talk about the difference between the Kalahari Elite 8 porch, which is also the same porch as for the Elite 10, made by Hi Gear, which is a Go Outdoors brand, and the Eurohike Buckingham Elite porch, which is a Millets Blacks brand. Strangely, they're all owned by the same ultimate company anyway, so it's a bit daft. A lot of people have bought the Kalahari and want to know about using two porches, or they bought a Kalahari second hand and they've not been able to source a porch. This last year, Go Outdoors have had big issues with stock of the porches. Not only is the price a little bit higher, especially if you've bought the blue one, but they just haven't had them in. And when I bought my Kalahari 8 in 2016, 18 months ago, I bought the full package with the porch, used it once and then decided I wanted a second porch. And in those 2 months, Go Outdoors decided that they'd discontinued the green one. They were all going to be blue, they were never going to do a green again, and they actually emailed me to say that, sorry, there's no stock anywhere in the world, and tough luck. Since then, they've reintroduced the green one. Yeah, really annoying, but in the meantime, I sourced one elsewhere. The Kalahari sells for, I think at the moment it's £117 for the green and 140 odd pounds for the blue, which is a lot of money. The Buckingham sells, for the last 3 years it's been £69, and then of course they're regularly having these 15% off things. This year it's gone up to £89, and again you regularly get the 15% off things. So let's look at the differences between the two. I'm not going to be able to put them up. As you can see, we are indoors. I've had a couple of days off ill and I thought I would make good use of the time. A few people on Facebook have been asking about sourcing Kalahari porches, and also about, you know, a few people mentioning how big and bulky they are. So let's have a look. Okay, so these are the two pack sizes. Now they look fairly similar, but actually they're not. The Kalahari one is, let's just say I was amazed at how well I managed to get this packed. As you can see, that is quite tight. It's a big bulky item. I did really well at packing it. The Elite, on the other hand, as you can see, it's tiny. I mean, it's in an oversized bag. In fact, yeah, I mean that should give you an idea of the difference between them in size. In terms of weight, again, big difference. These weigh about just under 11 kilos. That's the Kalahari one. The Buckingham one weighs just over 5 kilos. So the Kalahari one is twice the weight. Now why is that? Well, the Kalahari one's bigger for a start. I think it's actually got the sizes on there. Don't know if you can see those, but the Kalahari is 1.85 metres out from the tent and 3.3 metres in width across your tent. The Buckingham is, I believe, 1.4 metres. Yeah, it's 1.4 metres coming out from your tent and 2.5 metres width-wise. So the Kalahari porch is quite a bit bigger. So that doesn't really tell the full story though. Although the Buckingham Elite one is smaller in its width along your tent, it actually has much straighter sides, much more vertical sides on it. So the width in that respect doesn't actually seem much different. With the Kalahari, although you've got, it is much wider, it's a metre wider, because there's quite an arch, if you like, to the, quite a slope to the sides, you tend to find that you're moving all of your equipment further and further forward. For example, if you've got a stove and it's got a lid on it, you put the lid up, it's fouling against the side of the porch, so you move it forward a bit. So there isn't as much room there, as much difference there as you'd think. In terms of depth though, there is a big difference. I mean, strangely it's the smaller difference between the two, but with the Kalahari porch you do have room to put a full 4-foot unit and your fridge or something like that in on one side, and then obviously, you know, more wide units on the other side. With the Elite porch, it's not quite big enough. It needed to be just 30 centimetres more would make the difference. But for a lot of people, the Buckingham Elite porch is more than big enough. Other differences between the two: the Kalahari porch. Actually, I'm holding the camera here. I'm going to put the camera back up on the Oh, that's better. Seemed daft just leaning forward all the time. So the other differences between the two porches. We've already said that the Kalahari porch is bigger, both in terms of its width along the tent and its depth away from the tent. Both porches are a very usable size. Certainly the Buckingham is perfectly good enough for a small kitchen area or for changing room, storage room. You know, it's a decent size. The Kalahari is just bigger. The Kalahari also has the benefit of having steel poles, whereas the Buckingham Elite has fiberglass poles. So the steel poles are a little bit more robust. They are they're going to last longer. There's less chance of them breaking. But that does add to the weight. The substantial difference in the weight between the two is down to the steel poles. The Buckingham poles fold very neatly, very small. They're fiberglass ones. They seem perfectly fine. I mean, you know, I've used the Buckingham porch probably more times, or at least as many times now, as the Kalahari. The Buckingham has the advantage for me is that it's a very small pack size. I can squish it in amongst other things, and I can use it with my other tents. The Kalahari porch has another advantage in that, as well as having a door in the middle, the whole front of it zips out, so you can use the whole thing like a big canopy if you want to sit just outside and stuff like that. I've never done that. I must admit, I'm either outside or I'm inside, but you know, it is a useful piece of extra stuff. You know, the Kalahari is made from a slightly thicker material. Let me just check the hydrostatic heads, because I think they're both pretty much the same. Well, the Eurohike's 3000 hydrostatic head. The Kalahari, I can't remember if it's 3000 or 4000. I've had them both up in absolutely torrential rain, and neither of them have leaked through the fabric, so you know, there's been no problems there at all. They both have curtains. The Kalahari porch, I will say, is more affected by the wind than the Buckingham porch, probably because of its size. The wind does get in a lot. You find that your curtains blow, you know, even if you put your curtains up, they will blow down, and you know, it's quite a poor design because it's so wide out from the tent, but it doesn't have any pegging points in the middle of the fabric, only at each end where the poles are. It could really do with some extra, you know, pegging points. Something I've been meaning to get around to doing myself and just haven't got around to doing. So that's really the basic difference between the two porches. Is the Kalahari one is made of steel poles and a slightly thicker material. It's bigger, but it's a lot more expensive. The Buckingham is much more compact. It fits much more easily into, if you're tight on space and you just want something, you're not quite sure whether you're going to put it up, but you want it there anyway. It's brilliant for that. It is cheaper. I mean, it's £89 at the moment. They've got 15% off, which makes it £75-ish, £76-ish, something like that. But of course the prices are always changing. Go Outdoors are always doing deals. The big issue, of course, is if you can't get hold of a Kalahari porch because they're out of stock, because they have had huge issues this last sort of 9 months to a year, then the Buckingham is a useful sort of alternative. And if you want to put two porches up, on my Kalahari we often put both porches up, and it works really well. I put the Buckingham porch up first because it's narrower, and then the Kalahari Porch on the other door, and put the apron over the back, and of course that's wider, so it pegs out nicely. And the two together work really well too, so if you wanted a slightly cheaper way of doing two porches, then that's a really good way of doing it. In terms of other things, you know, they're pretty much what they are. If you really need the extra space of the Kalahari, then go for it. You know, it's a really, really nice porch. If you don't need a huge amount of space in your porch, but you still need a porch and you're really pushed for space, then go for the Buckingham. I should also say that looking at pictures online, both of these porches look very similar, if not identical, to porches made by other manufacturers. For example, Van Gogh do an Exceed side porch in both a large and a medium, I think, or a tall and a medium. So it might also be worth your while looking at prices of those. People like Royal, Galert, all of those people at certain times do make side porches, and in terms of fitting, they are all very, very much the same. The one thing that I would say as an aid to fitting is, if you have a tunnel tent, a vis-a-vis tunnel tent with the bedrooms at either side, or if you have a more conventional tunnel tent, make sure that the apron that goes over the back of over the top of the tent and to the back, make sure that it straddles perfectly whichever two air beams or poles that you're putting it across, because that will keep the wind down, and it will also, by keeping it nice and tight, it will stop water from pooling up on it. If you have it slips over one side more than the other, then you may well find that water pools up on it, and then, you know, it starts to, you know, it's not as nice, and more wind will get in. Another tip that I find is that although in the instructions it tells you to peg the guy ropes for the apron that goes over the top, to peg them out, I often find that pegging them close to the tent makes a tighter seal of the apron that goes over the top and gives you less wind going through. So, you know, it does seem a little bit more secure doing that. It's up to you to sort of work out, you know, which one works best for you, really. I don't have any video, I don't think, of them both up together, but what I will do is, if I can find a few photographs to tack on the end of this video of each of the porches, I'll do that. But to be fair, they are what they are. They all look the same. The Elite is better value at the moment. You know, the Buckingham Elite is better value at the moment. The Kalahari is better made. So you pay your money and you take your choice. Thank you very much. Please subscribe.